Okay. You should have that white packet out. Put your name on it if you did not put your name on it yesterday. Okay, now that packet has 3 tasks associated with it, and I'm going to walk you through each one. This is the very front page that you see on the screen. You can follow the screen or you can follow your handout, whichever one you're more comfortable looking at. Now, what you're responsible for finishing is this first row. Okay, now it says due date, is tomorrow's due date. What you have to actually complete outside of class and bring tomorrow would be this box and that box. This final box in the row you're not going to work on until we're in class tomorrow. So let's talk about how you actually tackle this double entry journal. Okay, so the second column says text and page number, paraphrase or quote a meaningful passage. Now within your reading of the chapter about David, you need to pull out or quote information that happened in the story that you found meaningful. Could be something that maybe you weren't sure about, something you could make a connection with, something that you have a question on. So you would write it in that box. Okay, now the box next to it called response, it says you have to analyze the text. You could form a personal connection, you could pose a question. So maybe you pull out information about David, so his first experience with German officers coming into town. And maybe you can pose a question about that. Or maybe you have something that was similar in emotion that you faced the time when you were frightened. Okay? So this is what you're responsible for tomorrow. This is one part that you have to take care of. It should not take long. All right, now what I'm going to have you do is go ahead, turn the page in the packet, so you're looking at the second page and it looks like this. So this is the second task. And it says, finding light in the darkness. What you have to bring in finished tomorrow is that first row. Okay? Now I understand the due date, it says the 22nd. Scratch that out, it's the 21st. We're not having it due on Friday because a chunk of you will be gone for that Adventure Dome field trip. We don't want to worry about that. Okay, now this one is also pretty simple, but you have to know what in the world the theme is. So at the very top of the page, it says, for each section of reading, you're required to analyze the author's use of the theme, finding light in the darkness. I can guarantee that you folks know what the theme, you just don't realize it. Ever heard of an idiom or an expression, the glass is half full? Okay, ever heard of the expression, there's light at the end of the tunnel? Okay, these expressions are exactly the same as finding light in the darkness, and it means, get ready to copy, this. There's always good in a bad situation. That's what the theme means. So, bless you, you're required to complete for each reading analysis of how that theme, finding light in the darkness, or finding the good in a bad situation, applies to each individual that you read about. So the second column says the textual evidence. This is where you're going to either paraphrase or you're going to quote a section of the story where you see that theme, finding light in the darkness. Third column, you write the page number. Fourth column, you explain how exactly did that event, that quote, prove someone or something was finding light in the darkness. Okay, not hard, not scary, shouldn't take you very long. All right, now flip to the final page, all the way to the back. All right, this is the third task. And this third task, it's not due tomorrow. So this would be something to think about maybe for next week, maybe for the third week. I'll keep reminding you of it because a lot of kids forget to do this. For some reason, they think the page is invisible. I don't know how, but it happens. So this one I'm not going to read to you, but essentially what this is telling you, you have to make annotations in your book. You have to write in your book. However, some of you don't own the book. Some of you are borrowing a copy of mine, or you're loaning one from the local library. So those of you that do not own this book and you're borrowing, instead, it says on the screen, it also says on that page, I want you to use Post-its for me. So if you know you don't have Post-its at home, your parents don't want to go out and get them, we'll get it. You just tell me, and I'll provide you with that material. Okay? So this last page, you will need to read on your own. You'll need to figure out what you have to do. But realize at some point you're going to be writing, making notes, highlighting in your book. And again, if you don't have the ownership of this book, use Post-its. I don't want you to write in the novels themselves because I want to be able to use them for other kiddos. Okay? So any questions about this packet? Okay, so remember, not only with reading the novel, you have to make sure to complete the double entry journal, and you have to make sure to complete working with the theme, Finding Light in the Darkness. Those two are going to be constant. This final piece, the annotations, that's something I'll be looking for later. All right, for now, let's take that packet, put it away, grab a highlighter, open up your Springboard to page 159. All right. All right, with page 159, we're going to go ahead, read the overview together. While I'm reading it to you, just like the screen's telling you, I want you to highlight or circle what are important pieces of information about this unit. Pick 2 to 3 pieces. Okay, make sure you're making those marks while I read to you. Okay, this third unit is called The Challenge to Make a Difference. And here's our overview. The world has dark pages in its history, and at times the challenge of righting such immeasurable wrongs seems impossible. Reading narratives about the Holocaust will reveal the worst in human behavior, but it will also show how individuals can find light in the darkness. In this unit, you will present the voices of fictional or real people who fought the darkness of the Holocaust by helping, hoping, or persevering. You will also apply the lessons of the past to start making a difference today by raising awareness and encouraging people to take action about a significant national or global issue. And once you've made your marks, turn to 160. Okay, now we're only going to focus on one section of the table of contents, and that's going to be our goals for the entire unit. So that upper left-hand corner, that blue box, if you're going to see some marks on the screen, make sure that you make them as well. Okay, the first thing I'm going to have you do in that goals box, right below that second bullet point, draw a line. Right below that second bullet point, draw a line. The top 2 bullet points are for the first half of Unit 3. The bottom 3 are for the last half. All right, let's go ahead and make some marks about these goals. All right, now your first goal for EA1, you're going to engage in a lot of collaborative discussions. This means you're going to be talking with groups a lot. This is a huge speaking and listening component. It's going to be big. All right, the second goal that you folks have is being able to note and analyze how the theme, Finding Light in the Darkness, develops in a story. So that's going to be the focus of the first half of Unit 3. All right, now the second half, which is going to be coming later in the spring, you folks are going to research an issue. You're going to make a persuasive multimedia presentation, and you're going to strengthen your writing. So what we're working towards this first half of Unit 3, here's the fun part. There isn't much writing involved. It's a lot of speaking. Now, the second half of Unit 3, there's a little bit, but you won't be making an essay. It's kind of nice. You need a writing break. All right, once you've made these marks, go ahead, turn the page again. We're going to look at page 162. Here she is. All right, you folks know With each new activity, we've got to diffuse those learning targets. So, like we've done in the past, circle the verbs, underline those nouns. Okay, so with this activity, two things. We're going to practice previewing ideas and vocab, and we're going to practice identifying what the heck is our next assessment all about. All right, so we've got this making connections box. Alyssa, could you read the making connections for us?
In the first part of the unit, you will read text about the Holocaust that show both the tragedy of the historical event and the ways in which people react to their events. The study will help us introduce different issues from around the world and choose one for which to create multimedia.
Okay, and right below that are those essential questions. All right, we've got two questions. Why is it important to learn about the Holocaust? And how can one person make a difference? Okay, there's no right or wrong here, but I want you folks to take about a minute and a half, answer both those questions the best you can in a complete sentence. Take about 20 seconds. Okay, now bottom of page 162 is where the actual assessment is at. Do me a favor and circle, box in that section. That way it stands out. And just like we've done in the past, we're going to break down the actual assessment, do a close read, so one sentence at a time. We're going to pull out those verbs and those nouns, okay? So Joseph, could you read the first sentence of the assignment? It starts with present.
Is that a kind of discussion that includes an oral reading of a patient after landing read by your group?
Excellent. So, did it tell us a verb, an action that we have to do? What's it telling us to physically do? Yep. Well, we're going to be reading. You got that, and something else? Something about a panel discussion? Most of you are right there. Tyler? Yeah, you've got to present. So we're going to highlight this present. That's the actual physical verb that we're being told to do. So what specifically are we presenting? What's that now? Good, something called a panel discussion. Okay, now, what exactly is going on in the panel discussion? The info is there. What exactly are we supposed to perform in this panel discussion? Okay. Something called an oral reading. That means you're going to read aloud a part of the story. So it's kind of like you're playing storyteller. All right, now the second sentence probably has some info too. So Nicole, could you read that second sentence for us with your discussion?
Your discussion should explain how the theme or central idea of finding light in the darkness is developed in the environment.
Okay, now there's kind of a hidden verb here. It says that we do have to explain something. So we're going to be having this discussion, this talk in front of our entire class, and we have to explain how that theme, finding light in the darkness, shows up in our story. So make sure you're taking a look at the screen. There's some info for you to highlight. So we have to have a conversation with a panel, which you'll find out what that is, in front of the entire class, where we read a portion of the story aloud by ourselves, and we talk about how the theme is there. All right. Now, with that in mind, that orange bookmark that you folks picked up on the top of the collection card, put your name on it if you haven't done so already. And just like we've done all in the past, take that info that we highlighted and paraphrase it. So put it in your own words. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to take that info and write it out in your own language. Go for it. Okay, most of you are probably ready for the next step. Take your bookmark, flip it to the back side. Okay, that assessment column, or assess column all the way to the left, just like the screen showing you, make those letter markings. So that dark column we're going to call red, that middle column we're going to call yellow or Y, that right-hand column we're going to call green. Now, something a lot of you forgot to do last time. You forgot to complete your self-assessment. So after you had written down every single concept that your EA would be graded on, you never came back to this portion and told yourself on that date, how did you feel about writing that part of your essay? This is something that you have to tackle and you cannot forget to do. Those are simple points that a lot of you lost out on. Okay? Now, next thing I'm going to have you do, I want you to open up Springboard or fast forward to page 204. Okay, find that exemplary column like you see on the screen, box it in, highlight around there, whatever you feel like. And the last step, number those bullet points. I only number the first 3 because I think you folks can figure out what to do there. And show with fingers how many bullet points or concepts your presentation is going to be graded on. If you're not sure, you could probably look around the room and get an idea. Okay, there's 9. There's 9 items that your presentation is going to be graded on. Okay, now there is a 10th row all the way at the bottom of your bookmark. Keep that empty because something's going to be added to it. Again, keep that final row empty. We're going to add to it later. All right, you folks have done this process 4 times already. This is your 5th one. So I'm not going to give you a lot of help going into it, but if you folks are new to it, you don't know how it works, you want to double check, make sure you're on the right track, of course, ask me, okay? I'm going to give you about, let's say, 6 minutes to kind of work with taking your bullet points and breaking them down into those separate concepts. When you're done, go back to that assessment column and put today's date, how you feel about each concept down. All right, folks, if you want to work with someone, you can. You don't have to. You folks have about 6 minutes to start working through each one of these concepts. Again, if you don't know what to do, put that hand up. I'd be happy to help. Okay, go ahead.